Too cold, and we just have to figure out a fruit box to use up, which we can do.
I think so. Where's that flower?
Flour's right down here. All right, now, I don't even know if they understood me to get whole wheat flour. If they did, and somebody, is there anybody here who just doesn't want to bake with white flour at all? Who's like dedicated to nothing but whole wheat flour? Okay, good. Because it's easier for me to teach you with white flour, it's faster, but I'll tell you what you need to do to work with whole wheat flour. It really, the techniques are all exactly the same. It's simply a matter of giving it time for the whole wheat flour to absorb the water. If everybody's not getting stuff, I'll tell you that's it right now. If you want it to be more, you can substitute 2 cups of whole wheat. It won't rise as nice, but it'll still be very flavorful and be light enough. Okay? And I have some whole wheat if people want to. Somebody else bring a different flour? I had a phone call from somebody about using different flour. I guess they didn't come in. Oh, okay. And what flours did you want to use?
Oh, I just wanted to use whole wheat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whole wheat's, yeah. We should have had whole wheat here for you. If you wanted to use spelt or rye, you're going to have to bring it, you know? Okay, we'll talk about that later on.
What'd you just do? Where's very much flour down there?
I'll just bring it down here.
Okay. You got the salt for me? Can you think of
Why is it all right? I don't care what anybody says.
Okay, so, is there anybody who doesn't understand what we're doing with the dough right now?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, all right. This is the old dough that I spoke about, okay? All right, so I made a dough last night so you can put a piece of dough in your recipe. I know it's a little counterintuitive to add water to a dough, but you're actually going to take that dough now and kind of break it apart.
Right now.
Yeah, it's just an ingredient. It's, well, in the immediate future, I'd get your measuring done so you don't have to clean your hands again. You know? So have all your ingredients ready, okay? And what I tell you about the flour is put enough flour in there, right, that you can imagine somehow making a horribly sticky mess, being able to still somewhat manipulate this really wet dough, really wet dough. Once you're at that stage, measure 1 more cup of flour and put it aside and think, I'm going to try to use as little of this as possible. Okay? That's the key, okay? Actually, somebody's in here, I say never use all the flour in a recipe. And then it was a 3-week class I taught at our local community college. And the second week, all these people had to do what I call going to hell. I say, okay, go to hell. And what I mean is, you now have to take water and put it back into your way too floury dough and rehydrate it. And that is a hellacious process, you know. So my joke is, you know, okay, you're not too bad, you're just in purgatory, but you're in hell, you know, and it's all about adding water back in. They said to me at the end of the second week, you should have never use all the flour in a recipe in bold, and you should have it italicized. And I didn't do that. So please remember, in any recipe you're using, never use all the flour. I don't know why, but they give you a range of flour that's almost always way too much. Okay? So just measure out 1 cup once you have a dough that you can imagine trying to work with, even though it's an incredibly sticky mess. Okay? And then have that 1 cup of flour, and I'm going to show you how to use that as nothing but a kneading agent. It's no longer an ingredient. It's simply a tool that allows you to work this incredibly wet dough. Yeah, you don't want to put salt and yeast together ever. If you have your, like I say, you can put, you know you're going to use at least 1/3 of the flour called for. So you put 1/3 of the flour called for in the bowl. You can then put your yeast on top of that, have your salt out separate, but measured very precisely, right? In fact, maybe we should all do this all together and have a moment of silence before we do it.
I'm just going to watch it.
Salt, iodized salt, kosher salt, Gaelic salt, right?
Right.
I like personally to use the fancy expensive salt at the co-op, the Redmond, what I forget what they call it, real salt or whatever, because it's got this wonderful array of minerals, you can just see them in there. We're talking minutia here, right? We're talking trace stuff that science would just say, oh, you're crazy. It doesn't matter at all. I don't believe that. I think the teeniest little things matter in life, right? But I can't say I can measure that. That's purely my preference. it costs 5, 6, I don't know, 8 times as much. I can't at all say you should use that. That's simply my preference. What I can say is it has the right texture. You don't want big salt if you're not weighing. If you're weighing, it doesn't matter at all, because then you do it by weight. But a tablespoon of kosher salt is going to weigh way less than a tablespoon of regular old, refined sea salt that you get in a pour bottle. Some of the other expensive salts are really coarse, and they're going to throw you off if you're not weighing. You're going to end up with not as much salt. So it's not about, as far as your experience of the bread, right? The odds are very, very good, unless your palate is way more refined than mine. You're not going to know the difference between 69 cents a pound and the 350. I think your body might know the difference, but this class is not about that subject, and so we'll leave it there. You make your own choices on that. Okay?
I'll let you do this here.
Yeah, well, and Tom, you're getting me the water.
The water's in the box.
Okay, great. Can't tell you that stuff. It's about the interactions. Okay, that's the artisan. They may say artisan on tostada chips right now. That's not artisan. This interaction, this knowledge, this connection with the life and the ingredients, that's artisan. The rest is advertising. Okay, so lousy technique, by the way. My technique really should just be this little bit of dust, and I should be using this side of this. And once again, see how wet it is there? It doesn't matter because I'm kneading there. See that? You get now that the flour is just a kneading agent, right? Everybody get that? I'm just making sure the flour is on the side that I need it. And on the inside, I don't need it at all. I want it to be nice and moist. What do you think? It's okay. Now I can't show you.
I know, it's too late.
I have to knead it again.
Yes, I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's the case. People will say, is it ready? I'll go, we got to knead it again. But I just stopped. I said, no, you stopped a couple seconds ago. It'll be a false read. You hit it now, and see how it comes back much slower. You have to do it the instant you stop. Okay, let's do it again. Oh, no, that was good technique. And by the way, you might get who I am by now. I've heard afterwards from they keep asking me back. They said they'd wheel me in, actually, if they needed to, at Johnson County. But I've heard from the people who clean. There's flowers on the there's flour on the windows. I mean, my technique is not necessarily the most precise for getting the flour only in the bowl. You may come up with a different one. But you want a very light, dusty man. You can see it's barely anything, right? I mean, you can't imagine how little that is. But it's just enough. I can feel that it was a little sticky there. That it doesn't stick, so I get to knead it. And I'm just kneading it now one more time so you can see that quick comeback. So if you haven't seen that, right, make sure you get close, okay? We'll see if the camera can catch it.
Zooming.
I didn't use enough. Okay. See what I mean?
Yeah.
See how fast? Okay, we'll do it one last time. Everybody can get it.
So that doesn't matter that you're needing more time?
You can't over knead, but I could over
Yeah,
flour.
you can
If I was being, if I wasn't in a hurry right now, that last amount of flour was too much.
Okay.
But I wasn't demoing that. I just want to show that quick comeback one last time, and then we'll go on. We'll have you all do it, and I'll give the bowl back.
I thought you didn't want it to be so fast.
Pardon?
You want it to be slow, don't you?
No, the
That's
second.
that's the proofing.
Oh.
This is it's the opposite. Okay, right now you're trying to wind up that gluten and get it really, really developed. It's incredibly springy.
Okay.
Okay. Later on, you're trying to get it to rise. The gluten has to relax so it can rise. So in the baking, you want it to come back very slow. Right now, you want it to come back so fast you can hardly see it. And this is a key thing to know when you're making pizza, because you can very easily over knead your pizza dough. And it's why the best pizzas, you make the dough the day before and put it in the fridge. If you knead it up like this and then try and make the pizza, which we're going to do actually, it's going to be a challenge, right? Tom, you might want to actually get a hot bowl of water and use that back turned off freezer, take it out, and just kind of let it stretch off your hand as much as it will till it's starting to tear, and then flop it down and gently tease it out. Gently. The more you try and force it, the more you wind it up, the more it comes back. It's all about lightly, slowly stretching it out. You don't want to work that gluten at that point. You work the gluten and you get that snap back, thick crust, thick dough, So there's still more absorbing going on, and it's going to dry out as it sits. It's not going to be as wet. The fact that I could work it and got it to that point, it'll be fine. Okay, it won't be too wet. You might decide at home that that's just a little bit wetter than you like, it's a little too messy, you're going to go a little drier. If you go too far that way, your quality is going to just go away. So it's a continuum. And I'm teaching you the wet side right now. You know, you're getting taught on the deep wet side. Some bakers might say that's radical, that's too far. It's good to learn how to do it radical, so then you can decide how to get it exactly where you want it. The term they use for assuring that they have the right amount of water in their bread. And the big guys love it because they got lots of Teflon and lots of low-paid labor, right? So they can clean up and they don't matter. They make tons of stuff at once and they only clean once, right? The small artisan bakers, if they're making you great bread, why it costs so much is partly because it is incredibly messy. I don't know what the recipe said there, but I would give this easily an hour to 2 hours.
What temperature?
It's all about
I'm sorry, what?
it's all about what it feels like. It's not about the time.
Well, no, actually, at this point, you pay attention to time too. But there's some things you can know, right? Depends on what you're trying to make with this and how you're trying to shape it. You can make this even stronger and do even less time kneading by folding. Okay? And it used to be that we punched those down. Okay? When this gets big enough, we'll fold it just to show you the development of the gluten that you get. You know? The downside of this is that if you're trying to get to shape it within a certain time frame, it can take longer to relax enough to shape it. But you can make it really, really strong so it'll rise incredibly in dough. Okay? And what you do with that is you do a book fold. You simply, you're getting the gas out, right? Is there anybody here that's never made bread before? Okay, that's fine. It doesn't matter really. I mean, actually, I think it's great because you don't learn a lot of bad techniques, you know? But the rest of you have probably learned to punch your dough down, right? And what the difference between punching and dough down and folding is that the one is simply getting the gas out and doing very little to develop the structure. The other one, because it's this mechanical process of folding over on itself, is actually working the dough too and building strength. Okay, so this is way too needed to fold right now, but we'll let it, you know, get relaxed and bigger, and then we'll actually just fold it in a book fold, and then we'll flip it so that the folds are all down. Okay, and every time we make it, we'll always have it that when we come back, right, we'll flip it again and we'll fold the same side. If we wouldn't do that actually for this stuff, but for ciabatta, that's the trick because it's so hard to knead, right? A lot of the development of the gluten is done by folding. You make it super wet, you give it a long, slow fermentation, and the folds are what develop the strength. Okay? But anytime, you know, right now, this is the bulk fermentation, okay? More baker talk, right? We're in the bulk fermentation stage, okay? Anytime in the bulk fermentation, you're probably going to degas it at least once, and that's what we used to call punching down, okay? Now you'll find that it's more powerful. You know, it gives you a better developed dough to instead of punching it down, folding it. Okay? So whenever you get to the stage where you formerly would punch it down, now best practice would be to fold. Okay.
Kevin, where's the yeast?
Yeast.
Right here. It's all right here.
Yeast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can use that.
Anyone else need it?